definitely a school where conservatives would not feel comfortable. I don't hide how I feel, but I can't pretend I'm promoting an agenda. Even though I clearly am. All the stuff I'm doing. But when I started there, I hid my whole life. I felt like a double agent or something.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the white boys who feel like very entitled to express their opposite opinions and just push back. Well, there's a huge contingent of them that are just like horrible.
Meet Jennifer Norris, the Director of Student Activities at the 209-year-old Trinity School in New York City. The acclaimed K-12 school is private and costs nearly $60,000 a year per student. Norris met with one of our undercover journalists where she divulges, if not brags, about how her political views impact how she performs her job at Trinity, a school that prides itself, according to their website, as a place for, quote, a balanced educational program for body and soul.
Unfortunately, it's the white boys who feel like very entitled to express their opposite opinions and just push back. Well, there's a huge contingent of them that are just like horrible. And are you always going to be horrible? Or are you just going to be horrible right now? Don't know.
Is there any saving these Republican, like, white guys?
I think they need to go. No, I think they're really awful people.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm afraid of with my white students that are rich. I'm like, do you ever have to deal with this? They're so protected by capitalism that it makes me sad. So
White guy.
Find some like Dexters who are gonna like go together.
Yeah. I just wonder how many
vigilante.
Yeah. Oh no.
Taking people out. The show Dexter.
Oh yeah.
It's like we just need some vigilante Dexters.
Oh yeah.
Here's your community of targets.
The reference to a fictional serial killer aside, the statements Norris makes regarding, quote, white male Republicans are disgusting, and she is confident in her abilities to further a secret curriculum without parents knowing about it, as she and others like her rise through the ranks at Trinity trying to influence their students' political activism in a 13 students per teacher ratio.
Like there's always groups of teachers who are like, I want to do these things, but the administration just wouldn't let us. So we've been just sneaking things in the cracks.
People what now?
You know, it's like they don't, like the administration was much more conservative than most of us. Well, I'm really good friends with the associate head of school now.
Okay.
She was an English teacher.
Okay.
And then she just kind of moved her way up. She was the department chair, and now she's the associate head. And so I go and talk to her all the time, and she has been amazing. Like she really cares and has the power to change things.
Yeah.
So I feel like I finally have like an in to get it.
You're an activist. That's cool. It's beautiful. Me too.
But when I started there, I hid my whole life. I felt like a double agent or something.
Yeah.
It's just nice. We don't have to hide our activism outside of school. We don't have to hide who we are. Like we can bring our whole selves to work and do the important work now. So with my role, I give them all the art supplies. Like we make posters together. We have people go to every march. They get excused from classes. Or
which marches, like?
So they went to women's rights marches after Trump. They went to all the like gun ones, the March for Our Lives. When it's fun too because if they do march out of school, because sometimes it's a political protest, and so we don't actually give them the grace period, but we do. We don't punish them. But if they do it, then they have to serve detention. And then during detention, we talk about social justice and like do much more education
it's kind of
there.
It's really, you're giving them an opportunity to be encouraged.
It's like the punishment of detention, but it's not punishment.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you encounter any of that here, like parents or staff who are kind of conservative?
Not really. I mean, it's a 300-year-old school. So, I mean, clearly based on, white supremacy. And it was started in Trinity Church, which was like built by slaves, and they're starting to like grapple with the history of their school. But I think people know. I mean, we're not as left as I am for sure, but it's definitely a school where conservatives would not feel comfortable. So
that's kind of good.
And I just keep trying to like disrupt wherever I can. And now that I'm in this position, I have so many opportunities to do that.
Norris is confident that her activism would make conservatives uncomfortable. Here she is explaining how she uses her position as the director of student activities to continually push her agenda.
Twice a week I bring in speakers from outside.
Oh, cool.
And so that's been a huge opportunity for
Awesome.
me to like just bring things, any social justice issues or just people's experiences, you know, they haven't had them.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun.
Do you have to fight with the staff about not letting conservatives speak? And...
No, I mean, I talked to the principal and I was like, so if I'm running this, like I'm 100% democratic with the students.
Yeah.
I will tell them the options and they are voting. I'm not going to just be like, these are our speakers for the year. Like I want to make sure the kids are engaged and care.
Yeah.
So I do put a lot of it on them, but I said, there are some speakers I am not even going to put on the plate for them. And if that's a problem, I cannot be in charge of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. He said, this isn't a time for the like, both sides. Like, he said, we're not in that place in our society.
I like him. He's
So-
your dean, you said?
He's the principal of the high school.
Oh, okay.
So he's not, I want him to be more firm and like push back. But if I'm like, this is my line, then he's always like, that is totally fine.
So you guys wouldn't let Republican perspectives on campus? Good. That's
I
basic.
will.
Yeah. Well, you're in charge, so
I'm in charge as far as
that's good.
they're concerned. Yeah. So if they want to do that, then somebody else has to do it.
But yeah.
It's not on my watch, I guess.
There are
We decided to test the waters to see if Norris would allow for a drag queen story hour with kindergartners, and she told our journalists this.
No, it's funny. My friend Moses, the drag queen. I told him I'm on a date with a teacher, and he said, "I'll ask her if she'll have me at her school."
Sure.
So, would you do it? Are you open to having him talk about his?
I'm friends with all the librarians too, so I can see.
But like a drag queen thing?
Absolutely.
You'd be okay. What if he wants money though?
How much money?
You might be able to do
Because we have
$500 or $700.
Like we have a lower school. It's a K-12 school.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I think it'd be most effective with like the younger people.
wants to like read to.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, he loves that stuff. I think he wants to get in with him.
And I could talk to the director of libraries.
Okay.
Although Trinity School is a private institution, their alumni include New York City Council representatives, attorneys, politicians, corporate executives, and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalists. Do we want Norris's hateful rhetoric to influence some of the major institutions of the future? Stay tuned.